What's up, Ravens fans? It's time to hear from you guys in this week's mailbag. Last week was our first chance to see these guys out on the field during OTAs. It's the rookies and the veterans out there together, and there's lots of questions about how everybody looks at this time of the year. And our first question today comes from Jason Largent, and the question is, what kind of role do you think that outside linebacker Za'Darius Smith is going to have this year? How many sacks, Ryan, do you think that he has? Remember, he had 5.5 sacks last season.
Well, I guess I'll start with the prediction. I'll say 7 this year. And in terms of his role, I think that's not entirely up to him. Sometimes it's dictated by other injuries. Last year, he had a lot of snaps as a rookie because of Terrell Suggs' Achilles injury. I think he could have fewer snaps this year, but do more with those snaps. And the reason that I say that is he's not a rookie who hit the wall last year. I mean, he came in, and in the final 3 games, he had 3.5 sacks. So he's trending up. And the other reason is during OTAs, when I look at him, I'm looking for players who really stand out physically, who made that jump during the offseason in their training. And Za'Darius Smith was definitely one of those guys. I mean, he's looking extremely fit at this point, so I think that in his limited chances, he can make the most of it.
Optimism.
Yeah, always.
Optimist. Glass half full. I like that, Ryan. All right, our next question is from Jeppy, and the question is, where do you see the weakest position or spot on the Ravens roster right now? Well, I'm going to go with inside linebacker, and it might actually be a decent position. It could end up being that way, especially when you have C.J. Mosley in there. But what you're really asking about is who's going to start next to C.J. Mosley, and I see this coming down to Arthur Brown or Zach Orr. Both of these guys, they're unproven. They're young players. Neither of them have started a game. Last year, they had 24 tackles combined. So we're not talking about guys who are veterans. We're not talking about guys who have a lot of experience. They're unproven. And so that's going to be the biggest question in training camp is which one of these guys maybe, excels, surprises, and if they don't see one of those guys taking that next step, then I think there could be an opportunity for the Ravens to look out on the market for a veteran that gets released in training camp.
Another option is Kamalei Correa, the 2nd-round pick. The Ravens gave him a look there. I'll point to guard. Left guard is, I think, a position that people aren't thinking about. Did everybody forget that the Ravens lost Kelechi Osemele in free agency? And they think that Ronnie Stanley can just step in and play left guard immediately because Jonathan Ogden did back in 1996. It doesn't work like that. The Ravens have some options at left guard, but nobody that's really a proven starter. Our next question comes from Bobcat Wombat, and their question is, who is the comeback player of the year going to be this year? I'll start out with Breshad Perriman. I mean, here's a guy who was the butt of Bigfoot jokes amongst Ravens fans because he missed his entire rookie season. People didn't even know if he actually existed. So you can't come from any lower spot than being Bigfoot. And I think Breshad Perriman, just from hearing him talk on the podium last Thursday, here's a guy who's so much more confident, just mentally stronger. And I think that was a huge thing for him last year because when he came in as a rookie, he's a soft-spoken guy, all of those things. I think that contributed somewhat to his problems. I mean, obviously the knee was an issue, but he's in much better place mentally this year, and the Ravens could use him out there because they need a big vertical threat, so they're going to give him a shot.
This is an interesting question because there's a lot of candidates. It could be Joe Flacco, it could be Terrell Suggs, but I'm going to stick with the wide receiver position and say Steve Smith.
I like that.
And the reason is that I don't think Steve Smith is coming back for one more season to be a guy who's mediocre.
No.
He is a Hall of Fame caliber player. He's one of the most intense players I've ever been around, and when he gets out there on that field, he's going to want to play at an energy level that is above everybody else, and I think that he's going to have the full ability to do that. I think both of those guys had big seasons.
You thought last year's supposed finale was big from Steve Smith. The actual finale is going to be even bigger.
Yeah, get ready for it. Hold on to your pants this year. All right, so that does it for us in Ravens Mailbag, but we always want to hear from you guys, so send in those questions however you can. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.